Chloe Krause, and my species scientific name is Xenocoelochaeopus, more commonly known as the oriental rat flea or the tropical rat flea.
Okay, my name is Reynolds, and I will be talking about the Anopheles gambiae, common name the mosquito, and we will be discussing which animal is the deadliest or the most dangerous to humans.
Mine is an arthropod, and it's a parasite to rodents such as rats, but it may drink the blood of any mammal. This oriental rat flea usually inhabits tropical and subtropical habitats, although it has been reported in the temperate zone as well. The fleas are about 1.5 to 4 millimeters long. Their larvae are white worms that are eyeless. And during the larval instar, they molt and form cocoons that are silky and covered in debris from surroundings. The impact on human society and the life history. The oriental flea is responsible for the death of what is estimated to be over 2/3 of the population of Europe. The Yersinia pestis bacterium is spread by the oriental flea. This bacterium caused the Black Death, or the bubonic plague. The Black Death was a plague that spread from the Mongolian Empire through trade routes in the Silk Road to Europe. These deadly fleas were carried on rats that lived in the ships carrying goods for trade. The rat colonies usually died within 14 days, meaning the flea would have to find another host to feed on, so they would jump to the humans. The fleas would travel on clothes or bedding or in hair of the temporary human host, biting and infecting the human until they found another rat to latch onto, and then that rat would infect another rat colony. The fleas spread by human movement and rat movement, making it nearly impossible to stop with the medical and scientific knowledge people had at that time. It is estimated that around 60 million people died in the Black Death. This is the number of people murdered in Stalin's regime, and it started in 1346 and ended around 1353. They're parasitic. They also carry typhus, and the bubonic plague has collectively killed over 200 million people.
Okay, in regards to the Anopheles gambiae, the mosquito, most importantly, it is the deadliest animal to humans. Not only is it more deadly than the rat flea, but it is the most deadly animal to humans. The World Health Organization claims that mosquitoes are responsible for 1 million deaths per year. That's worldwide. The biology of the mosquito, they are basically small flying insects. They do have wings and sucking mouth parts. Their saliva acts as a local anesthetic, so once it bites you, you basically don't feel it until after it's done. They live mostly in tropical regions, tropical humid areas like Africa and Brazil. The sub-Saharan Africa all the way down to Madagascar is where they're most prevalent. While the Anopheles genus typically feeds on animals, this one specific species, the gambiae, is the only one that does solely feed on humans, making them the one that's deadly to us as a population. Basically, the biggest threat from these mosquitoes is malaria. Because they can contaminate blood, they do hold the ability to infect us with malaria, yellow fever, and HIV, amongst others. But the malaria is the most dangerous one and the most prevalent today. In 2015, there were 214 million cases of malaria, mostly of which in Africa, and even 1,500 cases in the US. Past the malaria, the mosquitoes do move around because they fly. That definitely allows them to transmit across the nations. There's been reports of them getting on steamships and airplanes. They did actually travel from West Africa to Brazil, where they took over 33,000 miles or square miles of land, costing 16,000 lives and $3 billion of damage. These are the reasons I'm going to be arguing today that the mosquito is the most deadly animal.
All right. So both the mosquito and flea bite people and are deadly to people because they carry very deadly diseases. Both of our bugs prefer tropical climates. The mosquito can repopulate in warmer climates than the flea can, but both species are sexually dimorphic. Both species can be infected with diseases that have been killing people for centuries. And to date, the bubonic plague has kills around 2,000 people a year. The bubonic plague can be considered more deadly than diseases that mosquitoes carry, like malaria, because there are a few preventative measures that can be taken to protect against the bubonic plague. The only way to prevent yourself from contracting this disease is to avoid flea-carrying rodents like rats, moles, squirrels, and for some people that's hard to do. And extermination, that's another way you can prevent yourself from getting the bubonic plague, but it's hard to exterminate rat populations and rodent populations. The likelihood of contracting malaria can be greatly reduced by wearing protective garments like long sleeves and pants, and wearing mosquito spray or sleeping under a mosquito net. There are many preventative measures that can be taken to avoid contracting malaria, and there are few measures that you can take to protect yourself from contracting the bubonic plague if you are forced to be around rodents.
Okay, definitely some good points there. The point that I'm going to make in rebuttal to that, or in response to that, is that the anti-malarial medications available today do not have 100% guarantee to work. None of the preventions or treatment methods have 100% guarantee. They can only kind of slow down the process and hopefully ease things along. Another big point is that mosquitoes are nocturnal, so they get you when you're sleeping. Makes it really hard to prevent yourself from attack, basically, because that's what they do. These mosquito nets that you can use to sleep under have to be treated with permethrin and DEET repellents and all that. Even that, it still could fail. So in rebuttal to the flea, I'm going to pose a question of whether or not these fleas are still relevant with the Black Death and bubonic plague, comparing it to malaria. That's 1 million deaths per year compared to 2,000 annually for the fleas. Just with the knowledge and science that our medical fields have right now, it kind of leads me to believe that the Black Death is old news.
All right. The Black Death may not be as deadly today as it was in the mid-13th century, but collectively, when it was deadly, it killed more people than malaria has killed to this day. But typhus is still a major issue in countries with poor sanitation and poor diets. Fleas are also known as vectors of murine typhus or endemic typhus, and they play a role in the transmission of other diseases like spotted fever agent has emerged in third world countries and is prevalent during wars in crowded areas. It's also referred to as jail disease. Fleas have also been proven to harbor and sometimes transmit Bartonella, including Bartonella henselae, the agent of cat scratch disease. All of these diseases are major issues in developing countries, even though we vaccinate for them here. This specific species of flea has evolved to be immune to insecticides, making eradication nearly impossible. Methods such as fogging and exterminating sprays, like spraying nightly or daily, have significantly reduced the populations of mosquitoes in warmer climates, making them less of a threat than the fleas would be in third world countries.
Okay, in response to the whole fogging and prevention treatments for killing off these mosquitoes, most of these treatments are very costly, and a lot of the endemic areas can't afford them, basically. And even that, when they do get the treatments they need, these mosquitoes can still grow resistant to these insecticides, and the chemicals will stop working. And then you have basically a mutated brand of super strong mosquitoes flying around infecting people. It's very hard to destroy a population of mosquitoes because they live for only 2 weeks to about a month, and in that time they reproduce and live their whole lives and infect many people. The eggs that they lay go into water, which makes it very hard to find and stop. and then those aquatic larvae will be able to swim around. And if the standing bodies of water are never found, potentially hundreds of thousands of mosquitoes can just be let loose in the environment, just like that. And endemics will run rampant, you know? There's always the potential for these mosquito populations to grow in numbers, and because they can fly, there's always the option for them to move along and spread throughout the nations. That's what I got on that.
So my closing statement, collectively, the Black Plague has killed more people than any other event in history and is remembered as the most catastrophic epidemic. It's killed twice as many people as Stalin's regime and more people than all of World War II. Typhus is also an issue that many countries still struggle with to this day. There is no way to prevent the spread of these fleas because they develop immunities to every insecticide created to reduce their populations. Although the bubonic plague took a huge toll on the human population, it also had one positive impact on the social reforms that were long overdue during the feudal ages. It is important to study the oriental flea so that entomologists may one day find a way to wipe out the species. And the species has no positive impacts on ecosystems and is parasitic and annoying to its host. If a cure is found to the bubonic plague, or if there's a way to just wipe out the whole population of the oriental flea, then the knowledge that scientists gain through that research can be applied in other research for disease prevention and treatment methods. So ultimately, the flea so far has been impossible to kill because it just keeps evolving when every new insecticide is presented to it. So that's what makes it more deadly than the mosquito.
All right, and in closing for the mosquito there, my main points include that malaria is not 100% preventable or treatable by any drug. No medicine can actually effectively stop that. The antibacterials only slow the disease and just makes it really hard to work with. Regarding the mosquitoes themselves, I keep going back, they are little flying syringes, which makes them the optimal disease vectors for any bloodborne disease, really. Because the species of the Anopheles gambia only attacks humans in that complex, it definitely makes it a very important species to study. So I think research-wise, it would be great to find these insects and see how the insecticides work with them and against them and how they can grow resistant to that. This is really hard to do, however, because of the 8 sibling species, I'm sorry, 7, they're the 8th. Of the 7 sibling species in their complex, they are the only ones that do that, and they are morphologically ideal. Morphologically similar, basically. And really, this is the most important insect to study because they are the #1 killer in the world. And that is a fact based off of the World Health Organization. And I guess that's all we have.